Okay. Apparently, Prime Minister Netanyahu, I like to call him Satan himself, is he did a 60 Minutes interview. I've tried watching 60 Minutes before, but they always they copyright struck me. So I don't watch their stuff directly anymore. So I'm going to watch this video, this coverage of their stuff. I'm hoping that they'll have like, important quotes, things that we can talk about or whatever. And also a side benefit, we don't have to listen to his satanic garbled up demon voice that he has. So that's a plus. So let's go ahead and watch this. Hopefully we'll get some information about this 60 Minutes interview that he did.
Minister Netanyahu has made it clear that for Israel, the war is not over. In a clip that has been released from his exclusive interview with CBS's 60 Minutes, which is set to air this evening, the Israeli prime minister says Iran's nuclear program is still very much intact, even if Israel and the U.S. have degraded a lot of it, and that it must be.
So I think it's Israel PM to 60 Minutes. I think it accomplished a great deal, but it's not over because there's still nuclear material, enriched uranium, that has to be taken out of Iran. There's still enrichment sites that have to be dismantled. There are still proxies that Iran supports. There are ballistic missiles that they still want to produce. Yeah, well, you're not going to be able to do shit about any of that because America wasn't able to do shit about any of that. So, sorry, sucks to suck.
Be fully dismantled. Well, when he was asked how he envisions that happening, the Israeli leader was blunt. He said, quote, "You go in and you take it out."
He was blunt. No, you mean he was stupid. That's not going to happen. If it does happen, if it does happen, it would involve dozens, if not hundreds of deaths, incredible amounts of military vehicles and assets being destroyed. And it has a likelihood of not even succeeding as well. So it would be, we saw what happened when we just tried to rescue one dude, one real person, apparently, near Isfahan last time when that guy was across enemy lines, and we put we sent in hundreds of aircraft, hundreds of helicopters, hundreds of people to create a perimeter and then create a landing strip and land down there. And my personal opinion is that they were doing this as either a practice run or an actual attempt to get the nuclear material. And they were under heavy fire the entire time. They got the guy. Again, I haven't seen him. I haven't heard of him. I haven't heard any quotes from him. He is off the radar. He is completely gone. So I assume that there really actually probably wasn't a real person behind enemy lines that happened there. But anyway, they lost all of their they had to blow up all of their military vehicles. As far as we know, there weren't any deaths, but there potentially were. They hide a lot of that stuff too. So it would be a disaster if they decided to do that. That's why I keep saying it's a lot of these things are just not possible. They're just not possible. Maybe with a full occupation, but even then that would be that has a chance of not succeeding either, because Iran is way bigger and more complicated than Afghanistan. There's no guarantee that we would be able to successfully take over the entire country or whatever, or occupy the entire country. So even with that, I'm not even sure if that's possible. So Netanyahu is just living in a fantasy world as well. But that Zionism in and of itself is detached from reality. You have to be detached from reality to have a Zionism in your brain.
And that the ideal situation would be an agreement with Iran that would allow for both the U.S. and Israel to physically do that. Still, Netanyahu refused to clarify what will actually happen if an agreement is not ultimately reached with the Islamic Republic. And joining us now is our senior correspondent, Owen Alterman, and our security analyst, Yaakov Lapin, to break this down. First of all, I just kind of want to ask you, Owen, what do you make of, those comments that Netanyahu made in that CBS interview? He seemed to suggest that agreement would almost be the only way in which they would be able to physically access this uranium.
It's a risky interview. Look, Israel's under attack in the United
Well, he was on Barry Weiss's CBS, so it wasn't really that risky. Let's be real. They're not going to question him that hard. but he is I guess it's risky in the sense that nobody wants to fucking hear from him right now, that he's incredibly unpopular, and that Israel is like a 90-10 issue amongst Democrats and like a 60-40 issue amongst everybody. Like nobody likes Israel. So I guess in that regard it's a little bit of a risky interview.
Uranium.
It's a risky interview. Look, Israel is under attack in the United States after an unpopular war in which Netanyahu personally has accused Natasha of dragging Donald Trump into it. So for Netanyahu to go on national television in the U.S. and make a suggestion about what needs to be done and hint at a possible escalation, you ask yourself what the potential upside is of going on air and doing that. I think going in and defending the war and defending why the war was fought, and maybe that's what will be there in the broader interview. I think there's some justification for that, to try to sell the war to the American public. But to actually go out and call for something more and hint that there should be an escalation, as important as it is, we all share that goal. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know who is giving him these ideas or whatever. Like the time he went on, like fucking, was it Nelk Boys or whatever, like like how incredibly that backfired or whatever. Like I don't know who is telling him to go do this stuff. It's done, man. You're not able to propagandize in the same way that you were before to the American American population. It's done. Nobody wants to see you. Nobody wants to hear from you. And newsflash, nobody is ever going to want to see you. Nobody is ever going to want to hear from you ever again. Nobody is ever going to want to have Israel propagandists come in and dictate to the American public how all of their tax dollars need to be sent to Israel ASAP so that they can kill brown people over there. Like that, it's done. Your time in the sun, it's over. It's never coming back. Okay. So you need to get that through your thick fucking skull, that you don't like, this is pointless to do, if anything. And I would argue is probably actually net negative for Israel for him to come over and do this, especially if he's arguing, like he said, for like restarting the hot war or whatever, when this is incredibly unpopular and Israel is incredibly unpopular. And most people think that Israel dragged America into this war.
You wonder if this was the right motive and the right strategy to get there.
Right. I want to talk about the politics of this interview in another minute. But first, I'd like to turn to you, Yaakov, and actually talk about kind of the messaging there, right? Because on one hand, he said the only way to actually dismantle the nuclear operation in Iran is to physically go in and get that uranium. That hasn't been something that either Israel or the United States have been able to do from a military perspective. So that leaves an agreement as ultimately the only option. So to say that this war can't end until that happens, what do you make of that?
So first of all, I would say that extracting the uranium by force, I wouldn't say that that's something that the U.S. and Israel couldn't do. It's something they've chosen.
Yeah, it's something they couldn't do. If they thought they could do it, I think that they would have already tried it. And maybe that was what that, like I said, what that operation to get that dude who was across enemy lines or whatever, maybe that was that attempt. But I do think that if they thought it was like possible, or that there wouldn't be, tens, if not hundreds of deaths in the process, I think that they would have probably already gone for it.
Chosen not to do until now. Why have they chosen not to do this until now? Because it's an incredibly complex operation.
But they have said, I mean, both sides have said multiple times that we have, dismantled the existential threat that this, uranium has posed. That clearly hasn't happened.
So let's break this down. There's the issue of the highly enriched uranium. And I'm just saying that there is the option of a forceful extraction. It's just an incredibly complex operation. And obviously, they would much rather settle this.
You notice their language, too. They do this a lot. They say it's a complex operation, as opposed to saying what it really is, a risky operation. And also, what would be the end state of that, right? Okay, Iran no longer has, let's say you get every speck of enriched uranium off of Iranian soil. Okay, that doesn't do anything about the drones. That doesn't do anything about the missiles. That, like, which is their main power projection, are those two things. The nuclear issue was always just an excuse for war. It's not a real thing. And in the same vein, it would be an excuse for victory. Like, it wouldn't be a real victory. It would be an excuse for victory. Iran would still control the Strait of Hormuz. Iran would still would still have all of their drones and missile capabilities and be able to power project throughout the region. There's nothing that Iran would still be supporting Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. Like, there's nothing that they can do about any of that. So, like, the only thing that would accomplish would be a propaganda win that they could potentially use as an excuse to end the war. But I got news for you. If you want, you can just end the war anytime you want. Like, you don't need the excuse. It makes you not look stupid, I guess, if you have the excuse. But like, you don't need that to end the war. And then the final thing I would say is the nuclear stuff can be built up again really fast by Iran if they wanted to. And also, if they really wanted a nuke, if they truly desired a nuke, they could be like, hey, China, give us a nuke. And China would be like, okay, here's a nuke. And then they would have it. It would take like one day, and there's nothing Israel or America could do about it. And then Iran would be nuclear armed. So like, who cares? Like, it's not like, that's why I keep thinking like this is all just a propaganda spin. And the whole reason that they would sacrifice lives and like military equipment and all that would literally just be for an excuse to declare victory, which is so stupid, man.
The deal in terms of that angle. Now, when you zoom out, what is the Iranian nuclear program? It's not just the HEU, the highly enriched uranium, which right now is not accessible to the Iranians. It's buried and under constant surveillance. And if they try to approach it, they would be bombed. They know that. That's why they're not approaching it. So it's on Iranian soil. It's not accessible to the Iranians. Then you've got the 3 uranium enrichment sites, Isfahan, Fordow, Qom. These are places, and Natanz, of course, these are places where the uranium was being enriched. Those were destroyed back in June. They haven't been rebuilt. Iran is not enriching uranium.
Oh my God, these people are idiots, man. They weren't destroyed. I guarantee you, they were fine after that. Okay, they are underneath mountains. Not even your stupid ass bunker buster bombs or whatever are going to be able to reach them. Like, my God, man, these people, they drink their own propaganda like it's like, I don't know, like it's Diet Coke or something.
There's nobody who's monitoring Iran now who thinks that Iran is enriching uranium in any significant manner whatsoever. Their enrichment infrastructure has been destroyed and has not been rebuilt.
There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence that it was actually destroyed in any meaningful way from those strikes on like Midnight Hammer or whatever stupid operation name they gave it.
So the existential threat has been pushed back. The issue now is we're zooming in on what's left, and that's the uranium itself. But they don't have the capacity right now to enrich that uranium. Now, will they try to rebuild that capacity? Who knows? I mean, they want to rebuild it. We know that they do. But even if they do, Israel has a very large head start. They would watch.
I don't think Israel, I'm going to be honest, I don't even necessarily think Israel cares that much about the nuclear thing, because I don't think that they even think that Iran is actually planning to break away to a bomb anytime soon. So like I just said, this is all just a propaganda spin looking for a way out of the war, essentially. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Those efforts. And I would assume, call it a wild guess, that Israel's not going to sit on the sides and allow them to rebuild their nuclear program and just get there in the last minute like last time.
The fuck are you going to do about it, bitch? You're not going to do shit about it. You can't do anything about it. Iran is more powerful than you. Like, what? You can't do anything about it. Like, you're not going to be able to bomb them any more than America was able to, and America was unable to destroy their enriched uranium. America was unable to destroy their enrichment capabilities. So what the fuck makes you think that you're going to be able to? Like, you're a million times weaker than America, and you're essentially just an extension of America anyway. So I don't know. This is all like fucking like hopium from this dude.
I don't think that's realistic. So at the end of the day, the nuclear threat has been significantly rolled back when you look at enrichment, when you look at the facilities, the infrastructure.
Okay, I think I'm done with this. I was hoping that there would be more of the actual interview in this clip. Like I said, I can't watch the 60 Minutes clips because they copyright strike me when I do it. So